On tonight's edition of our nation's sports show, we recap last week's NFL draft. Also tonight, we recap the action in the NBA playoffs. Golden State leads their second round series against Memphis, 1-0. How will Memphis respond in Game 2? Milwaukee leads their series against Boston, 1-0. And the Celtics tied their Eastern Conference semifinals matchup against the world champion Bucks at 1. After dispatching the Pelicans in 6 games, Phoenix takes on Dallas in round 2. How will Philadelphia respond in their series against the top-seeded Miami Heat with their star player Joel Embiid out indefinitely? It is that time once again. It's showtime. From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sports. Members of the Busted Up Nation bring to you our Nation Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Ezra Vickery, Joey Thornton, Kevin Rorie, Randy Giron, and Stephen Wyand.
All right, here we go, guys. Woo! This is another Tuesday. We are here. We're live. We're ready to rock and roll for y'all. No, we're not Ted Nugent. We're not Aerosmith. We're not Kiss, but we're the best thing going since Tribute Acts. We are live. It is our Nation's Sports Show, everybody. Thank you for joining us again. I'm glad to be back after deal with a power outage last week. Finally back in the host chair again. It was a great show last week, guys. So thank you very much for joining my crew here, and thank you to the crew for stepping up, taking over, and kicking ass as you always do. We are here. We're live. We got a lot to talk about. We got, of course, the NFL draft. We got to go over. We've got the NBA playoffs, which are now into the semifinals. We're going to be talking a little bit about the last couple of games and that. We're going to talk about a bunch of other subjects, including Major League Baseball, UFC, you know the drill. What we always talk about here on the show. First, of course, we got to get to how you can follow us and interact with us on, of course, social media and, of course, the Discord. You can follow us at discord.gg/Nation's Corner. Follow us there. That's where you can interact with us throughout the week and during the show. Go to youtube.com, search our Nation Sports Show. Find us there, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Last time we checked, we were at 93 subscribers. We were only 7 away.
Now we're at 94.
94. We're 6 away, guys. Get us that 100 subscriber mark so it's easier for us to share content with you. And also it'll be easier for you guys to find us in the long run with that custom URL. So please help us out. Share with your friends who love sports and the occasional pro wrestling talk that we'll have every once in a while. Also, don't forget to like us on Twitter at ON_sports show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and Instagram.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Hit us up on all the socials during the week. Of course, we'll keep you guys updated if anything breaks throughout the show. Also, so don't forget to follow our individual accounts. We got Joseph Thorne. I believe it is roll_tide 1992. If I'm remembering right, or is it roll tide? Yep, you got it. Okay, cool. We got, of course, Stephen Wyand is Stephen_Wyand. We got, and me, of course, Deadman469. And also follow Too Sweet Cosplay, my cosplay group, on our socials. Next appearance will be Anime Central in Rosemont. If you're there, join us there. We'll be doing a photo shoot and doing our usual stick as the cosplay group does. All right, now that we got all that spiel out of the way, first, let's bring in our crew. Of course, right now we got with us our Oakland Raiders expert here, Guy who I don't know if he has any specific thoughts about the draft. We'll get to that. I don't know if he has any specific thoughts at all, but I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my buddy Randy Giron. Randy, what's up, my man?
Hey, what's going on? Hope everyone's doing good tonight. Hey, you forgot my Twitter handle. It's TB12 is really shitty at Twitter. No, that's not it at all.
Too many characters, anyways.
I'm sorry. That's already taken, anyways.
Yeah. I was gonna say it would have to be like 1050 or something, But hope everybody's doing good tonight. Just it was a good sports weekend. Yesterday, I mean, there was basketball playoffs, NHL playoffs. Raw was on. I mean, it was a good sports night and a good sports weekend. Good games in the NBA, and I know we're going to get to those. So I just want to send another shout out to my boy Terrence. Hopefully, he's watching tonight. Hope everybody's doing good, and let's have a good show.
Absolutely. Next up, of course, is our resident sports expert general, but today he's rocking his Golden State and Oakland jersey, I believe. Yes, it is that old school Warriors jersey. His team so far is dominating the playoffs, man. They've been killing it. And here we go with the semis, and we'll talk about them coming up. And that is, of course, our boy Kevin Rorie. Kevin, what's up, man?
What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good Tuesdays, and I hope everybody enjoyed the draft, the NBA playoffs, something that LeBron James isn't currently in. Hope everybody just has a good time, and hope everybody's doing well.
Yes, definitely. We hope all y'all are doing well. We got, of course, with us our buddy here rocking the shirt of the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes from last night. He was at Monday Night Raw last night. Had a great time. We're glad to hear about that. But I don't know what's more of a nightmare, his shirt or his takes in the show. But we'll get to that later. And this is our good buddy Joseph Thorne. What's up, man?
What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. And yes, I had the most amazing time at Raw last night. The promos were great, matches were great, and I'm ready for another event. But for now, let's get to some sports, baby.
Absolutely. And then finally, of course, the man, I always say we can't do this show without him. Well, literally, because he runs the audio portion and everything else. But he's the patriarch of the show, my heavy metal brother from another mother, Steve motherfucking Wyand. Steven, what's up, man?
What's going on, everybody, man? After taking over the chair last week and helping host that with your power going out, it was an awesome show. And then last Wednesday, going to one of the best tours of metal, the Bass Strikes Back tour with Testament, Exodus, and Death Angel. That was an incredible kick-ass show by all three bands, man. I mean, it was just insane. That the energy last Wednesday in Raleigh was just out freaking standing. And then helping out hosting the Nation's Corner on Saturday the last couple of weeks. And Joe, you going to Raw last night, Joey? I mean, just what an incredible week, and my goodness, you got a lot to talk about: the playoffs, NFL draft, and all that fun stuff. So let's go.
Absolutely. Before we get right into the sports, of course, I just want to say from everybody at our Nation Sports Show, from everybody all around the world, happy Bullet Club Day, everybody. For those of you who may not be fans of New Japan Pro Wrestling, real quick, on this date, 2013, the Machine Gun Carl Anderson, Tama Tonga, Bad Luck Fale, and Prince Devitt, who is Finn Balor, founded the Bullet Club at Wrestling Dontaku 2013. And it was a big moment, and a moment that would end up changing the wrestling business forever. The shirts would end up becoming some of the hottest selling shirts in Pro SCT's history. It would become one of the biggest namesakes in pro wrestling, and it still is to this day. It is even stronger than ever. It's amazing what it's become over the years. So many different people we've seen on wrestling today, from AJ Styles to Kenny Omega to the Young Bucks to even the AEW World Champion Hangman Page. All of them were members of Bullet Club at one point. So definitely it was a place to learn and grow. And so happy birthday to the Bullet Club, and here's to 9 more years of it being nothing short of too sweet.
And I just want to mention real quick how awesome it was after AJ beat Damian Priest last night. Finn Balor came out to help even the odds, and after AJ and Finn Balor stood tall, they did the too sweet gesture right in the middle of the ring, and let me tell you, that was freaking awesome. I loved it.
And let me tell you one thing. One thing is that they actually edited that out of the YouTube clip that they posted later on.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah,
I saw that and I lost my mind.
I'm surprised it didn't cut away when he went to do it. I'm surprised it didn't.
They're just like, nah, we'll just edit it out. So that's exactly what they did.
Come on, man.
But anyways, moving forward onto the sports so that we don't get too much into the rest of the discussion. But anyways, happy birthday, Bullet Club. For us wrestling fans who watch this stuff, especially that stuff. So definitely. All right, let's get going, guys. We got a lot to talk about here in the show. Let's get right into the we're gonna talk football first, but I want to get into the news that broke yesterday, and that is that DeAndre Hopkins, of course, wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, was suspended 6 games in this upcoming season for PED usage. He violated the NFL's banned substance policy, so now he will sit out the next 6 games. From what I heard, he is planning to appeal, and he said he is shocked and sad and stunned by this announcement. So we talked about this in the pre-show, guys. This, with him being suspended, this could lead to possible ramifications, especially involving the state of Kyler Murray. Because Kyler Murray is technically not agreed to any sort of contract. He's not signed anything on paper or agreed or had a handshake deal. So he's still on the bubble. He could leave depending on how this all pans out. So that's a concern. I know, especially a big concern for Arizona fans. So I want to get you guys thinking. We'll go to Kevin first, since he's kind of our resident expert on everything, but especially football. What are your thoughts on the whole DeAndre Hopkins situation? And do you think this will be a catalyst to possibly Kyler Murray leaving Arizona and signing somewhere else?
Definitely, because the fact that Kyler Murray is a different quarterback with DeAndre Hopkins on and off the field. So the organization's going to look at Kyler and his possible struggles this upcoming season, and they're going to say, why the fuck do we want to pay you $100+ million when you're not doing nothing for us? You can't depend on Hopkins to be there every single game. Injuries happen. Sickness happens. Like, it happens. Suspensions happen. You never know. It happens. But Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are in deep trouble in my eyes, because like it's looking more and more like the battle of the NFC West went from a 3-team threat to possibly a only 2-team threat with the Los Angeles Rams and the 49ers. Arizona, if they get 6 games deep under those teams because of the loss of Hopkins, they're in big trouble. But as far as Hopkins is concerned, come on, dude. You know what's legal. You know what's illegal. You know what shows up on a test. You do the crime. You do the time. It's that simple. If you didn't want to get suspended, you shouldn't have tried to use supplements of any kind, whatever. I get it. I've been an athlete. I've took protein before. But in that protein, you read the ingredients label, and everything on there is what the NFL tells you not to take. So you did the crime, you do the time. It's that simple. Just suck it up, get those 6 games out the way, be back ready to play. It's that simple.
Exactly. I mean, seriously, I mean, just the way, he got caught, and he's butthurt. Oh, I got caught, he's going to appeal it. I mean, dude, you got caught. You did the crime, do the time. Serve your sentence of your suspension. And it's a very interesting, dichotomy for Arizona, because like you guys just said, Kyler Murray is technically not, on a full contract, and he might be still technically be on the roster, but he's not fully on the team just yet. I mean, he's still there, but he hasn't fully committed. And man, I mean, if this suspension goes through all the way, this is a huge blow for Arizona, because the stats do not lie. When DeAndre's been out with Arizona, his Kyler Murray and their record is not good. not good. And I would imagine I don't have the stats in front of me, but I imagine Murray's touchdown to interception ratio is really, really, really poor when DeAndre Hopkins is out. And it was last year. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, I was just saying, Kyler Murray is just he's trying to do what he can to dig himself into a deep hole. And as of right now, it's working because Kevin, you're right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Steven, you're right. He's not under a full contract right now. And what makes matters even worse now is that Hopkins is suspended for 6 games. Christian Kirk signed a deal with Jacksonville over the offseason. So if I was the Arizona front office, I'd be thanking my lucky stars that I was able to get Hollywood Brown from the Ravens. Because I mean, if Kyler Murray winds up playing for the season, at least he'll have one good target to throw to for the first 6 weeks until Hopkins comes back. Because we all know Hollywood Brown is now going to be the top number 1 guy for Arizona, other than Zach.
He was okay in Baltimore. He was decent, but he wasn't a top receiver. And now that he's in Arizona, he's going to have to step up and prove that he's worth being on the team now.
Exactly. And I mean, Arizona to me, as of right now, is in deep trouble. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, when you got San Francisco, who still has top players on their team, you still have the defending Super Bowl champion LA Rams. I mean, my goodness. I mean, it's not looking good. The only thing that Arizona has going for them is the fact that Seattle's in a rebuilding year and a rebuilding stage and all that stuff. But having the Niners and the Rams in your way, it is going to be a tough. And we'll talk about it in a couple weeks when the schedule comes out next week. Because knowing the NFC West, it is one of the toughest divisions in the National Football League.
And also, Steven, did I forget to mention, not only that, but you look at the Rams and the 49ers, both of them against Kyler Murray have top 5 defenses in the NFL. So Kyler Murray is going to possibly go against 2 top 5 defenses in the NFL with no Hopkins. Then I know the schedule hasn't came out like as far as dates, but the opponents have been listed, and the NFC West this season plays the AFC West. So the Cardinals could possibly play in the Kansas City Chiefs, the Raiders without DeAndre Hopkins. That's big trouble for
the Chargers. The Chargers are looking
3-4. That's easily 5 or 6 losses right there if the schedule doesn't favor them first 6 games.
Because we know they're going to get a division opponent to start out the season. The question is,
whether it be the Rams, they just better hope it's Seattle. I'm sorry.
Right. Right. Because I mean, when you look at the full schedule, I mean, whenever it does get fully released, let's just say if the Cardinals have to play the Rams, San Francisco, the Raiders, and you could throw in the Chargers or the Chiefs in there for first 4 to 5 games, those could be consecutive losses. And it's a lot of trouble for the Cardinals.
And see, and even if Hopkins, and even when he comes back in week 7, there's no guarantee that he's going to put up big numbers. So, I mean, even if he comes back, Hopkins can still struggle. So, I think we can all conclude by saying that Arizona won't be starting 7-0 this upcoming year like they did last year.
It's going to take a miracle for that to happen.
No. Yeah. And I'll tell you one last thing about this, guys, is Hopkins needs to suck it up. Don't need to appeal or nothing, because what's going to happen is if he does appeal when the season starts, you have to miss those first 2 or 3 games till the appeal's over. And then if they still uphold their decision, you still serve 6 games after that. So Ezekiel Elliott did it, 2017, I believe,
yes.
2018.
Yep.
He had a 5-game suspension, and what he do? He kept appealing. Eventually, he was out 13, 14 weeks. So if I'm Hopkins, I just need to suck it up and say, you know what? I fucked up. I'm sorry. Let's just get these 6 games out the way so I can come back.
Well, I've actually heard that Hopkins has already sent out a tweet saying, "See you guys in week 7." So I don't think he's
that's good.
They're always the one that get caught. They're always the ones surprised the most. But it sucks for the Cardinals because they were going to have Hollywood Brown there, but he's just a secondary guy. So they're going to rely on Hopkins, and then whatever with him. Now he's got to really step it up and So we'll see
Yep.
how good he is. If he was worth that trade they made for him. But now we see why they made the trade. So it made sense now. But is that going to be enough to keep him around? At least with him, he was teammates with Kyler Murray, so maybe that'll help a little bit. But
Right.
Kyler Murray's still going to be disgruntled no matter what, I think. So.
And the biggest thing for Arizona is Cliff Kingsbury. He is not a top 5 coach. His
He's
track
not a top
record
10
is
coach.
not even top 10 either. I mean, that number 7-0 last year, but his track record is proven it's not great, especially when it matters the most in the postseason. I mean, my God. I mean, that performance by Arizona last year against the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams was a piss poor performance at best. And just did not show up. And with the upcoming season, I mean, this is if it could go bad or worse for the Cardinals, it just did yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely. You guys made very fair points. I feel like that. DeAndre needs to serve a suspension, get it over with, get back out into the field. Because, like you said, Kevin, if he takes this appeal process, he's going to miss 8 to 9 games. He could miss, depending on how long the appeal process takes, which is a big blow to Arizona in that retrospect. But also, if you think about it in this, that if Kyler Murray decides, hey, I'm going to walk, and decides I'm going to explore my options, see who's going to pay me big bucks, and see who's going to sign me, then where does that leave Arizona as far as I don't know what who their backup situation is in that case. I know we talked about this before when it first broke that Kyler Murray was looking to go somewhere else, but the question, like you said, they don't really have the same, like a wide receiver. They don't have the secondary wide receiver that has the same caliber of play, the same overall star power that DeAndre Hopkins has. And the question, and that's a question I pose, is that for Arizona, if they lose Kyler Murray and they lose DeAndre Hopkins for those 6 games, those first 6 games are some, especially depending on their schedule, could be the most critical games of the entire run for those guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But real quick before we actually I was thinking there was some other big news that I wanted to get into, but it's been a pretty light news week, especially now that the draft has calmed down. So why don't we get into it? Let's get into the NFL draft, guys. And it was definitely a draft to remember because it was a very, very, according to some experts, who said it was the weakest quarterback draft class in a number of years because only one quarterback was taken in the entire first round.
Yep.
Very, very rare. The first 10 picks, most of them were defensive players. A good chunk were defensive players, and a lot of them were also offensive line, which is very, very, usually we don't see. Usually we see a lot of offensive weapons like wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. You see a lot of them get taken in the first because those are those main players that people want.
Mm-hmm.
But I glossed over the draft picks after they first came out the next day, because my job, of course, I couldn't stay up and watch the whole draft. Let me get it real quick. I looked it up, and I mean, of course, the big pick. Jacksonville, of course, got the number 1 pick. They got Trayvon Walker, that defensive tackle, defensive end from Georgia. Like you said, you had edge rushers taken. You had cornerback. You had 2 cornerbacks. You had multiple edge rushers. You had multiple offensive tackles. You had 1 wide receiver, or it's actually 3 wide receivers. Yeah, 2 wide receivers taken in the first round. So it was a very weird draft this first round was compared to usual, because you didn't have the Trevor Lawrences, the Trey Lances, those types of guys, Justin Fields. You didn't have those guys like from last year. This year, it was a very, very quarterback anemic class. Pittsburgh, of course, gaining a quarterback, which, of course, is a smart pick because they need it after the retirement of Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
Right.
So I'm gonna gauge your guys on the draft picks in the first round. we could talk about the second and third round all day, but really, in reality, if we talk about that, we won't have the rest of the show to talk about anything else.
No.
But
Yeah.
I definitely want to gauge your guys' interest throughout. What are some of your highlights from the first round, and grade some of the draft picks from the teams. I know that one big hot topic was Dallas. Dallas, unfortunately, from some Cowboys fans that I talked to, including a Cowboys fan that inspired the Nation's Corner, Dave LaGreca, said on yesterday's show or today's show, it was yesterday's show, that he felt that the Cowboys did very poorly in this year's draft and did not make any good picks. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on the draft, kind of some of your grades, and just overall, how do you feel about your team's picks? Let's go with Steven. Go ahead, start us off, brother.
I mean, the biggest takeaway for me is the fact that Georgia had 5 picks go in the first round. Just incredible talent on that Georgia team. The team that beat Alabama in the championship game. Just outstanding talent.
Yeah, sorry, Joey.
And I really thought Detroit did pretty good. I mean, they got a good defensive player, good receiver. I really think I thought Jacksonville got some good players. Is it enough? We'll see. They're in the rebuilding stages. The Patriots did not do good with their draft selection. In true Belichick fashion, they drafted a player that went completely under the radar, and it's like, wait, what? Why'd you pick this guy? Could have picked somebody else better. And Dallas could have picked a better offensive lineman. I mean, they didn't really do good with their first pick.
But Steven, if you think about it though, Bill Belichick is a master of taking underwhelming picks and turning them into superstars.
Yep.
I mean,
exactly.
wasn't that the prime example of Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Tom Brady was a late pick.
Exactly. And how did that turn out for you? Sorry,
I see Randy's face. He's starting to look like Vader in 1989.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop him like Vader did that one guy broke his back. That's what I want to do to him. But anyway, go ahead.
Anyways,
Face is up there than a boxing match between Hagler and Hearns.
I thought Pittsburgh did pretty good. Obviously they had to go with a quarterback, but they got a steal. With their quarterback pick coming out of Pittsburgh, so really good for them. Getting the quarterback that they needed. It was a very interesting first round. I mean, predominantly all defense. And we knew going into this draft that there wasn't going to be a lot of quarterbacks that were going to be great. But the fact that, teams like Pittsburgh and Tennessee were able to snag quarterbacks off of the board that went completely under the radar, and Tennessee, they got a lot of questions going forward. I mean, with Tannehill, still being there, and, it's just, Kansas City did pretty good. Baltimore did good. Green Bay did pretty well. Carolina, mid. The Jets, mid. It was a pretty good draft this year.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about Green Bay, in round 2, they took a Green Bay got Christian Watson and wide receiver for North Dakota State.
Yep.
I don't know. Like I said, my college sports is very limited, unfortunately, because I'm not as big into it as a lot of you guys are. But I do pay attention to certain things. And from what I've seen about this Christian Watson guy, he's 6'4", 208. Seems like he's a very good vertical threat out there. So so with Green Bay, they might have another big weapon in the future, depending on how long he progresses and how long he sticks around for. But Green Bay seems like, according to critics, they made some very well picked picks for the first and beginning of the second round. Like you said, of course, the big question on everybody here is, of course, that number 1 pick is, of course, Travon Walker for Georgia that they picked out. So they went for this defensive end. Will this help Jacksonville in the long run, or do you think I know there's many key components that are missing from Jacksonville. And I mean, yes, this will only solve some of the problems. And I think they need, personally, yes, they need more young guys with great athleticism and great energy. But to me, they need veterans who have experience, who have playoff contention. And no, I'm not looking to sign somebody who's had playoff hopes and is barely on the tail end of his career. I'm talking about a guy who could still go and a guy who could still, give him the chance for that run. But like you said, like we've said before, for Jacksonville, for teams like Jacksonville, for teams like Seattle, it's a rebuilding season. So, Kevin, what are your thoughts on this draft on this draft class, and what are some of your grades for your team and some of the other high profile picks?
Well, this draft class and as far as quarterbacks was weak. It's got to be one of the weakest since 2013. And that's because the unknown, like you don't know. Malik Willis, as good as a ceiling he could have, he played at freaking Liberty. When has Liberty played a Alabama or a Texas A&M, like D1 schools? I haven't seen it. So it's so much unknown about the kid. And Matt Corral, so to speak, they said he's got so much off the field issues and anger and this and that. So you don't know what that's going to look like. The quarterback class was very weak. I'm glad. And as far as the defensive class was one of the strong suits, obviously.
Outstanding.
Far. And the wide receiver class. This wide receiver class might be the best class in a long time. So what stood out to me the most, and like Steven, you touched on Detroit, but I don't think the Jets were very mid in this. I think the Jets did really good on paper. Like Sauce Gardner is being compared to this day and era's Darrelle Revis going to the Jets. Like he's a lockdown corner. And you got to mention that the head coach, Robert Saleh, was the best defensive guy in the NFL 2 years ago with the 49ers. Right. So he's going to have this guy on lockdown. Then you got to look at, they went and got them another receiver, which I don't think is going to help unless they get an offensive coach that can get Zach Wilson and turn his shit around. But that's still a question. If they can do it, they got pretty good receivers out of that deal. But I think one of the biggest winners for me was the Philadelphia Eagles. Just because, and the Tennessee Titans, I got to say, because the Philadelphia Eagles addressed playmakers on both sides of the ball. Which we haven't discussed that news, but they traded for A.J. Brown. Tennessee gave up A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles during that draft to move up. Yep. So the Eagles acquired A.J. Brown. Then they go out and draft Jordan Davis, who is going to be one of the best D tackles in the NFL in 2 years.
Baltimore
to replace A.J. Fletcher Cox.
Yep.
To replace a Fletcher Cox. Then you got playmakers on both sides of the ball. And Tennessee, they didn't have a choice because they flat out in their books, at the end of the day, the NFL is a business. They looked at their books and say, hey, look, man, we can't pay AJ. We can only give you $16 million a year. AJ's agent said, fuck no. Same agent as Deebo Samuel, by the way, who's crying about money. So he said, fuck no. So you know what Tennessee did? Get off our books. We'll go get us a receiver. We'll draft a receiver with this pick, and you go about your business. We'll trade you to Philadelphia. Then Tennessee in the second round got Malik Willis. I just said it was an unknown, but if Malik Willis can take his talents and be good in the NFL, Tennessee's got their quarterback with Derrick Henry back there because Ryan Tannehill is not fucking it. I'm sorry. Dear Jesus. And then there's a quote that came on ESPN today talking about Ryan Tannehill. So I'm not going to mentor him. I'm competing for a starting job for him. I'm not going to mentor him. Then one of the old Tennessee players said, why the fuck would anybody want you to mentor him? You suck. You'll probably ruin the kid's career before it gets started if you mentor him. So you know what? I'm looking at seeing how well that he can do, and I'm really rooting for the kid. I hope Malik Willis takes Ryan Tannehill's starting fucking job by week 1, because Ryan Tannehill, let's be honest, single-handedly choked in the fucking playoffs and gave a fucking win away. When your defense can sack Joe Burrow 9 times and you lose, your quarterback sucks. So
three ugly picks against the Bengals.
Yes. And as far as my boys, we didn't get a pick till round 2, obviously, because of the Trey Lance trade. We didn't get the first. But I'm pretty happy. he fell out of the first round because of commitment issues, but we drafted USC Southern Cal defensive end Drake Jackson, who is one of the quickest defensive ends in the nation. So hopefully he can provide his quickness on the other side of Nick Bosa and provide a spark and depth for our team. So that I'm pretty satisfied with that pickup. But my last thing is the Packers. I know they went in the second round to get receivers, but all the playmaking of all the projected playmakers were gone by the second round. I'm sorry. So what do you do, Green Bay, with your pick? You fucking draft a linebacker. You've got defense. You've been had defense. Only thing you lost was an edge rusher in Zadarius Smith, but you've got defense. Why not draft the receiver? This has been like 19 years in a row. The Packers, outside of Jordan Love, I'm sorry, the Packers don't draft anybody for Aaron Rodgers. And you know what? I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers can't say a damn thing this time because reports came out that he was in the draft room and he okayed the pick. It ain't I wanted a receiver. Why ain't my team? I'm not happy. They said he was in the room with the head coach and general manager when they made the pick. He okayed it. I don't want to hear no crying. That's
Kevin, I really think that Green Bay, they really bumped their head against the ceiling when they were making this pick. Like, oh shit, we're gonna make a defensive player, and just not a good idea. But let me ask you this, Kevin. You were talking about Tennessee's quarterback situation, with Willis and Tannehill and all that stuff in that battle. Here's an interesting one for me is the fact that with Pittsburgh getting Kenny Pickett, and the fact that getting Pickett, with their first round pick at number 20 in the first round, it's going to be a really interesting offseason because Pickett and Trubisky are going to be battling it out to see who gets that coveted spot to be the number one quarterback on the depth chart comes week number 1 this upcoming year. So my thing is Trubisky has a lot of pressure on him because the simple fact that you have the Pittsburgh darling and Kenny Pickett breathing down your neck, and the fact that Mitchell Trubisky has not had really any success in the National Football League besides maybe that lucky win or two that he had with the Bears, and especially what really drove him down, downhill was that playoff loss, sorry, Ezra, with Chicago against Philadelphia. And, it's going to be really interesting coming up in the offseason with Pickett and with Trubisky's quarterback battle in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
I just think Mitchell Trubisky will not be the starter. I'm sorry,
not even
Kenny
close.
Pickett's going to have that by preseason week 3.
Oh, yeah.
Not even close.
And you don't have to be sorry because I'm sorry that we even got Mitchell Trubisky in the first place. Thank God we got Justin Fields. I will say this about Chicago, though. They didn't have a pick either in the first round because of the trade up for Justin Fields this past year. But I will say their first pick in the second round, for what I saw, a pretty damn good pick, man. They picked a really, really good cornerback, which is something that the Bears had been lacking. They picked up a good cornerback. They also picked up, I believe, a few other players. I can't name them all at the top of my head, but yeah, this was something that they were missing was cornerback coverage because that's something that's been anemic for the Bears this past season. Mm-hmm. And they got a guy who's big, he's lengthy, he's rangy, he can move. He's very physical and aggressive as well when it comes to making plays on the ball. So that's something that we need on our defensive side of the ball. I mean, we got everything. As far as their defense, of course, the Bears are known for their defense. Their defense is legendary. Monsters of the Midway for a motherfucking reason. But, I mean, the one thing that the Bears also picked up, I believe they also picked up an offensive lineman, if I'm not mistaken, which is something that the Bears definitely needed was more offensive players on that side of the ball, because the one thing I think that the Bears lacked, and this is just coming from me being a Bears fan, I think that they lacked was an offensive line. Their defense was good. Their defense was great. It's the offensive line that was unbelievably suspect because they weren't good at blocking. They didn't give guys like Justin Fields or even Trubisky. I'll give him credit. Even Trubisky giving him time to throw in the pocket because that pocket always collapsed.
Right.
And I feel like that once they get the offensive line fixed, I think the Bears could be a deadly team in the NFC, especially in the NFC North. I know Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay is quote unquote king or whatever. Fuck him. But I feel like that if the Bears get that O-line fixed and they're able to maybe add a few other key components on the defensive line to holster it and stabilize it, I feel like that team could be a deadly team in not only in their division but in that conference in general. But I think they made some great picks. I think they did a good job in this draft. They didn't have to do much to make an impact, in my opinion, and that's just coming from me personally. Kevin, did your San Francisco 49ers had a few good picks, right?
Yes, we got after the second round, but I'm glad with our picks because what we lack is the questionable offensive line depth now because of the loss of Laken Tomlinson to the Jets, and who knows if Alex Mack, our starting center, Pro Bowl center, is going to retire or not. We don't know that. And another thing was cornerback, but we addressed that when we drafted a corner in the 5th round. We've already got our solid corner. We picked up a corner in free agency, and news just broke yesterday. We re-signed Jason Barrett, so we now have 5 or 6 legit corners who can all start if need be. And when we drafted our offensive line, we and I like the picks because the offensive linemen we picked, they all were versatile linemen, which means they've all played tackle, guard, center, left guard, left tackle. That way, when like the 49ers past the last 4 years, when our guys get hurt or whatever, insert this lineman in here and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He can go left guard. Oh, our right guard's hurt. We're going to insert him because he knows how to play right guard. So just to have the agility on the offensive line was pretty big. And we got us a receiver, probably the number 2 speed receiver in the draft. The guy was caught at running a 4.32 in the 40 coming out of what was that? What was it, college? It was a small school, SMU. He was a wide receiver for SMU, got clocked at running a 4.3 40. And what I heard plans to do with that was use him like Deebo Samuel. That way to patch this drama up with Deebo Samuel. Hopefully, if it's truly about the usage that he doesn't want to play running back, then fine, don't play running back. We got a guy we're going to try to play running back, do this and that. And you can just play receiver just to kind of satisfy his needs and wants. So I was pretty happy with our draft class.
Who would have thought that the Jets had a better draft than the Patriots in the first round?
Belichick fell asleep with his dog behind the laptop when it came to his pick. It automatically generated like Madden when you go to pick, and it automatically makes your pick for you.
Come on, you got to make this one.
You know what? If Bill Belichick wasn't even in the room, by the way, he wasn't in the room. They just used a substitute coach like they do in Madden. So.
No, I know who was behind that pick. You can't fool me. Tom Brady. We're going to call that Draftgate. Draftgate 2022.
Hey, real quick. Was Rex Ryan in the room with the Jets?
Third rounder.
Was Rex Ryan in the room with the Jets and they made their great picks in the draft?
Mm.
When I said the Jets were mid in the draft, guess what? I lied. What a name.
No, but I know one person who was. Chris Collins was in the room when they drafted Sauce Gardner because he looked at him and said, "Now here's a guy who can go shut down the receiver."
Hey, no. I will say this much, man. The Patriots, their draft choices on the surface, they're more deflating than a Tom Brady football, which makes sense. It is a Patriots pick, after all. But I digress.
Baltimore did great in the draft. Kansas City did good.
Oh yeah.
Jets did good.
A lot of high grades for some of these picks. I mean, there was some questionable picks. I know Chicago had a questionable pick at wide receiver.
Yeah.
I know that a few other players had some more on the offensive side of the ball, but otherwise it was a pretty good draft for most of the teams. I'll say that much. But like I said, with New England, let's not sleep on New England and their picks because, like you said, Tom Brady was drafted late in the draft, and look what happened to him. He became a fucking Hall of Fame Super Bowl MVP. Super Bowl.
Cheater.
So
Oh.
it's
Hey, I will say one more thing about this draft that I find very ironic, and it was the whole thing about the NBA NFL crossover, because there was players drafted by the names of Kobe Bryant with a C,
Yep.
Chris Paul, and Isaiah Thomas. What in the hell has this NFL come to? Holy cow!
I can't wait till they get a player named LeBron James, and he'll leave 4 minutes before the game ends.
Sir.
Oh no, wait, they had one. His name is Antonio Brown.
Yes.
Oh God!
I had to throw it in there.
And then maybe in the NBA there'll be a guy named Mark Sanchez will run into his teammate's ass.
And the NBA, they can do that.
Yeah,
Now,
let's not hope for that for any team, please.
Definitely not.
Oh God.
Last thing we need is it to be a highlight on Shaq and a fool.
What? Yeah.
Nice.
All right, guys.
Oh God.
All right, that's a great dissection of the draft class, guys. Definitely can't wait to see what these picks really see what happens to them, and we'll keep an eye on their progress throughout this season.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see. Will some of these young guys rise up? Will they fall? Who will there's everything, quarterback spots, wide receiver spots all over the place. It's that are going to be in question with these new guys, and we're going to find out and see what happens this upcoming season.
Yep.
It's going to be very interesting.
Oh yeah, hey, I wanted to add real quick about the fact that 3 Ohio State wide receivers went in a row. Jameson Williams, played at Ohio State, so all 3 of them went in a row. That was just great to see for me at least. I know all 3 of those guys are going to be studs in the NFL.
And Randy, what was so funny is your father said last week in the chat, he said that 3 Buckeyes would go, in a row basically, or like in the first round. I'm like, good God, he was right.
He was definitely correct. Yes, he knows it. And I think the Raiders had a good draft. Draft a lot of position players, but guys that probably will stick around. But I enjoyed the draft this year. Years prior, it wasn't as good, I don't think, but this one was pretty good to even watch. So I think having people there and everything and the situation, I think it was good. So.
Definitely.
And I thought Buffalo did really good with their pick, especially with their first overall pick and Elam at cornerback. I mean, because Buffalo's defense was already good enough last year because it was number 1 ranked in the NFL all season long. And the fact that you can get a young stud at cornerback that can really fit in with your system, Buffalo did really good with their pick, their overall number 1 selection.
And got them a running back too.
Yup. And they got a running back as well.
All right, so time for my analysis now. Before I get into the Commanders picks, I do want to say I give my props to Georgia. Yeah, Trevon Walker went number 1 overall, but I was talking to my dad the other day on the phone, and we got to talk about the NFL draft, and me and him both agreed that this was just Georgia's year. This was Georgia's year to shine in the spotlight. They won the national championship. They had 15 players selected in the draft, so this was just their year to shine. So now it's time for Georgia to come crashing back down to earth and barely make it into the playoffs, if that. So in regards to some other picks, I will say, though, the Jets have done something that we haven't seen since a couple years ago in Seattle, and that is the Jets have brought back the Wilson to Wilson tandem. Because remember, back in Seattle, we had Russell Wilson to Luke Wilson, and now come this year, we're going to see Zach Wilson going to Garrett Wilson.
Is it the Wilson Bowl?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Not if they had a player down, if they had a player to let that say Phillips, they could be Wilson Phillips.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Now,
also, real quick, Joey, also Cincinnati did really good with their first overall pick with the Daxton Hill. And I really think
Oh,
that Hill is
yeah.
going to be a huge, as far as player within the team, as far as for the years to come, because if Jesse Bates decides to go, for a little bit more money to another
Yes.
team, that is a really good pick because the
And
Bengals
Jesse Bates is on the franchise tag this year, which means
Yep.
this is last year if he don't get an extension.
Yep. So the Bengals did really good with drafting Hill, at safety and really addressing, a future upgrade when Bates, if he has to walk because of,
Yes.
not having to have enough money on the books. So yeah, a lot of these teams did really good.
Absolutely. Now, regarding my Commanders picks, I will say, but we traded down from the 11th pick. I was like, thank goodness, because I was wanting us to trade down because we didn't need Kyle Hamilton, who everybody was saying we were going to get. We didn't need him. And I'm glad Baltimore got him before we did. Now, whenever we made our first selection, the wide receiver Dotson at Penn State, my first initial thought was, who is that? I never really heard of the guy, but after seeing this highlight, I saw that he is the guy who Washington actually needs right now because I said it last week on the show that Washington needed a good slot down receiver who can get downfield with good hands, can catch the ball, and take some of the targets off Terry McLaurin's back. And that's what Washington did. And that's what Jahan Dotson is. He's a slot down receiver who can make unbelievable catches, has great speed, and can take some of the targets off McLaurin's back. So Washington did great with that first pick. And how about on day 2, Washington getting 2 Bama boys back to back with big Fedarian Mathis and big Brian Robinson Jr., D-line at running back from Alabama. Oh, man, I was so thrilled to see them boys get picked by us because Washington needed a D lineman with the fact that Ryan Kerrigan left us a few years ago, and the fact that Chase Young is going to be coming back from an injury this year. So that was pretty huge. And the fact that Brian Robinson is now a solid number 2 back behind Antonio Gibson, who was really going to be pushing for some playing time this year because Brian Robinson, he is a workhorse of a running back. He went out and got over 1,300 rushing yards last year and 14 touchdowns on the ground. So Robinson is a great pick there. And by no means am I a Carolina Tar Heels fan in college, but the fact that we were able to go out and then get an absolute steal in Tar Heels quarterback Sam Howell in the first pick in round 5, that just makes me feel so good because Sam Howell, no doubt, is a great quarterback. And I know Carson Wentz is our day 1 guy. I understand that. But at the same time,
Joey, with Hal being now on the team, that is going to be a lot of pressure for the injury-plagued Wentz. God, that's a good pick for Washington.
It is. It's a great pick. And knowing the fact that the year before, we drafted Sam Howell's favorite target in De'Ami Brown. So now we got Howell and De'Ami Brown reunited in Washington. So whenever the time comes for Sam Howell to take the reins in DC as a quarterback, you better believe De'Ami Brown is going to turn into a superstar wide receiver because it'll be just like their college days. So Washington, by all means, they addressed every single need in the draft except for an inside linebacker. So Washington, a solid A+ in my book in the draft. I'm proud of my boys.
This just in, the Washington Commanders have traded all of their picks for one Tom Brady. But then Tom Brady has decided to go back to Tampa Bay because nobody wants to be in Washington.
Yeah, just like when all the Bears fan or all the Bears front office traded Justin Fields to the Green Bay Packers for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
We'll take Aaron Rodgers. He's a quarterback MVP. I'll take him.
No, what Joey did
to complain about that.
you trade. No, what Joey meant to say was you traded Justin Fields back to Pittsburgh for Mitchell Trubisky again.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
And then guess what?
That's it.
And then that's what we gave it to the Jets for free.
For a burrito.
Sam Howell's gonna rip his mask off, and it's gonna be Nick Foles, and take over for Carson Wentz again.
Hey.
Oh, we got to win.
Here's what we did. We traded to the Jets for a New York style pizza and tickets for the next show at fucking MetLife.
Oh dear God.
Oh Lord.
Oh Jesus.
Damn.
Good God.
Real quick. Before we get to the NBA talk, because I know you're watching the game, Mr. Rorie, because I can tell by the
I'm watching it too.
Let's not get into that just yet. Let's save it. Let's keep it in the condom, as they say. You mentioned AJ Brown got signed to Philly. It was a $100 million deal over 4 years, $57 million of a guarantee. Big money for Mr. AJ Brown. But I wanted to get that before we move on. Now let's move on to, of course, the NBA playoffs, man, which are in full swing. We are
Boston's kicking that ass right now, baby.
We are right now in the Eastern. We're right now in the conference semis on both sides. Both of the first games are played right now. Miami currently holds the series 1-0 over Philly. Milwaukee and Boston. Right now it's a bloodbath, but 1-0. Phoenix leads the series 1-0 over Dallas, and Golden State, of course, leads the series over Memphis 1-0 as well. One thing I will mention about Boston is not playing with Marcus Smart tonight because of a hamstring injury. So that adds another problem to the team because they're still without Chris Middleton too as well.
Yes.
But since that game is going on right now, let's talk about this. We could talk about the previous games all we want. I mean, it's up to you guys if you guys have some comments about the previous series, but let's talk about. I mean, it's still early in this series, but right now, ass whooping.
It's bad. It's really bad.
I wanted to talk about it so much while we were talking about the NFL.
38-57. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, at one point, Jaylen Brown had more points than Milwaukee before the end of the first quarter.
He's got 20 right now, I think.
He had 14, and they had 12 at the end of the first quarter.
That's amazing.
Jaylen Brown has been killing it, and they're just playing better team ball. Milwaukee's
Sunday. Boston did not look good in that game against Milwaukee. Milwaukee played like true champions. You know, the points off of turnovers were just staggering for Milwaukee. I can't remember the numbers right off the top of my head, but Milwaukee had so many points off of turnovers in game one on Sunday. But right now, this is not the same Bucks team that played with that championship swagger against the Celtics on Sunday. I mean, they are getting their asses whooped right now.
And also, if you get a chance, to see the Jaylen Brown depantsing of Grayson Allen.
I've seen that.
Unbelievable.
But you know what? Here's my thoughts about this series.
Oh my
Here is, you know who I blame this on? Boston coming out lackluster in week one or the first game. I blame it on Brooklyn because at the end of the day, it really exposes how bad and how far away Brooklyn truly was to be a contending team.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's true what they say. When you play competition that's on a low-ass level, it tends to bring your level of competition down. So when Boston comes into this series, they're playing the best player in the world and defending champion Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they couldn't stop them. And it's crazy because now it's like after that wake-up call in game one, it's like, come on now. Now we're playing a real team. We're playing a good team. We're playing teams that can beat you and win a world championship. So now Boston looks like they're on a roll. They ain't got Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year. It does not matter. Tatum's been a little quiet, but it does not matter. This is the Jaylen Brown show. And this
He has
shit
come
is
to play compared to
embarrassing.
last Sunday.
And right now, they finally got some defense going for Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is shooting 2 of 13 right now with 4 points.
Ooh.
They are putting some defense on him. And Boston is back in the series. Just like they said, if they would have lost this game, I think Milwaukee could have swept them. Going back to Milwaukee for 3 and 4.
Spot on.
Kevin, this is a hot topic that we got into a couple weeks ago. Remember when they announced the NBA awards for this year? And we named off some stuff. I mean, this is good news in this sense, but Tyler Hero won the 2021 Kia Six Man of the Year. That was just announced a few minutes ago.
Good. He deserved it.
Yeah, but
Steph Curry entered the conversation too late.
But listen to this. Okay, this is right here. Tyler Hero received 488 total points, which is the 96 first place votes from a global panel of 100 sports writers and broadcasters. Kevin Love finished second.
Oh my God! Now, I'm about to go play Six Man of the Year. What in the actual fuck?
I was hoping Kevin Love would have won. I was hoping Kevin Love would have won so I could just see you melt down into a puddle of oblivion. This whole decision would be worse than Steven at an Oasis concert.
Oh my God! Or even worse, as we're a freaking U2 concert.
I was gonna say, Steven, when he's done, I'm gonna go ahead and say that today is gonna be the day that I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Damn it!
He loves to sell some Oasis. Always, whenever you see him, please play Champagne Supernova and Wonderwall for him.
So here's the $1 million question. So who's gonna save me?
I would have just said.
I said maybe.
Hey.
Anyways,
after all.
Wait, sorry.
Anyways, before this gets out of hand, yeah, this is let me tell you this. Yeah, I agree. Boston is back in the series. Half is officially gone. Boston is up 65-40.
Let's go Celtics. This is awesome.
Oh, all right, the next one, of course, the other game tonight is Golden State and Memphis, which should be another really good game. Golden State looking to extend their lead to a 2-0 lead. The question I have for Mr. Kevin Rorie here, who is the massive Golden State fan, is this, and I quote, "Can Draymond Green stop getting himself ejected?"
I'll answer that. Will the ref stop? Will the ref stop playing as a 6th, 7th, and 8th man for Memphis, for crying out loud? That I don't care which way you look at it. I get it, protecting players, but damn it, he made a play on the basketball. And you got, like Draymond said, when you go to defend somebody, okay, I get it. The rules say this, but when you realize that player's tendencies is to swipe down, that's how he gets all his steals in the post. So he does it again. You got to realize that was incidental, not no flagrant 2. And you know what? These referees are a bunch of it's a bunch of bullshit. If they would have won that game, they would have won league MVP. Memphis. They would have absolutely hung up their damn zebra stripes in the Raptors, for crying out loud. They would have had their damn uniforms hung up. They would have been pronounced Memphis Grizzlies 2022 co-MVPs, John Morant and the referees for game 1. These calls were atrocious, dude. I'm terrible. Like, watching the game, you don't even got to know the fan. You don't just got to know the game of basketball to be like, what in the fuck are they calling? And then at the end of the game, here's where I got a problem. Any other game in the world under 2 minutes, a controversial call goes out of bounds, you review it. You know what these idiots said? No, we're going to jump it. We're going to jump it up at half court in a jump ball, knowing Golden State has 5 guards on the floor, and my man in Memphis has got Jaren Jackson Jr., who's 7 foot. It's almost like we're saying we're going to give Memphis that shot. We're going to let them get that. When it clearly, you didn't even have to go for replay for a long time. It clearly went off of Desmond Bain. I could see it. Ray Charles could see it. God,
even I could see it.
The damn water boy could see it, for Christ's sake. Holy shit, the ball went right. Gary Payton went up for the rebound, tapped it. Desmond Bain tapped it after him. It rolls out of bounds. And you know what? They said they can't make that controversial call. We're going to jump ball it. Oh, yeah? Well, what about the controversial block charge calls every game? The controversial offensive fouls every game? The controversial balls in the last minute, in the last shot at the buzzer? Those calls, you make them. So why didn't you go to replay to review that call? Because if you would have, the game wouldn't even have had the last shot opportunity for John Morant, because it would have been Golden State ball with 4 seconds left. But you know what? No, we're going to jump it up and let them get the last shot. But I will say, not Chef Curry with the shot. How about Klay Thompson and Steph Curry with that defense on that last possession, blocking John Morant on the first time, and then the next on the game-winning layup opportunity, Klay Thompson rotated over with Gary Payton, made him miss the shot, and what great defense it was. And this game, just like Charles Barkley said, this was clearly called, laid out, and like blueprinted for Memphis to win. John Morant has 34 points. He couldn't have done any better. He actually hit 4 threes for someone who can't shoot a three.
And hit back-to-back threes in that first quarter.
Jaren Jackson, who's been in foul trouble this whole season, was not in foul trouble. He had 33 and 6 threes. For crying out loud. Memphis couldn't have done any more. Golden State, Draymond, your best player, both sides of the floor, your key player, gets ejected for some bullshit again. But they still fought. And you know what I said before the series? What it's going to come down to, like it did, was experience. Memphis is young. John Morant is a superstar. He's a beast. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be one of the best point guards in the league in the next 2 years. But they have no experience compared to Steve Kerr, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, someone who's got championship regime. Like, they don't have experience like that. Like, at the end of the game, that shot fake, like, Klay Thompson had the most wide open three he could have get. Why? Because they're not experienced enough to say, hey, I can't, Jaren Jackson's in the paint. I can't play out there on 3-point shooters. So what happens? Jaren Jackson's way down there. Klay Thompson gets the ball, does a little pump fake, and boom, wide open for the go-ahead three. Big clutch shot by Klay Thompson, by the way. But Memphis, and then after Ja misses the layup, it's still 20 seconds left to go in the game. They don't foul. They sit there and play ring around the rosy and do not foul. The clock is preciously winding down to 10 seconds. 10's all the way down to 4 seconds. That is Memphis being unexperienced. If that was the opposite, Golden State would have fouled. They would have stopped the clock. They would have turned it into a free throw game. That's where experience comes into play. And Memphis, I just don't think they got enough. And honestly, if they lose game 2 tonight, I can see them getting the brooms out, because you're not going to San Francisco with Steph Curry's playing out of his mind and Jordan Poole. You're not going to San Francisco and winning. I'm sorry. They're too experienced for that. And it's just like Draymond said, we're not Minnesota. You can't go on these 26-0 runs and blow and have 20-point deficit and keep coming back. We're not Minnesota. You might get your little 8-0 run, but we're going to call a timeout. We're going to regroup, and we're going to score 10 plus on you. You're not going to get us over like that. And Memphis, they're going to be good, but that's the key word, going to be. They got a good team set up, good recipe for success. They're just too young. They've got a better chance, to be honest. To me, they'd have a better chance against the Phoenix Suns because of their youth. You're playing a 3-time champion, 2-time unanimous MVP, a defensive player of the year, coach of the year, one of the top 10 coaches in the NBA history, Steve Kerr, and you're just not going to win. And I find, here's last stat I'll say about this game that I find really interesting. Steve Kerr has won 18. He's 18-1 in series where he wins game 1. The only other coach who has a better record is Red from the Celtics, who has won 22 series after winning. He's 22-0 after winning game 1. And the only other coach that's better than that is the great Hall of Fame Phil Jackson, who is 36-0 after winning game 1. And Golden State currently has won the last 12 straight series after winning game 1. The only game 1 series they have lost, obviously, was the finals in 2016, which they should have won, but that's that. It's hard to beat Golden State when they're up on you with all them shooters and weapons. It's really hard. And you got the best player in the playoffs in the West still with Steph Curry. I don't see Memphis. I see Memphis getting a game. They might get tonight's game. I'll give them that. But when you're going to San Francisco and Golden State technically now just snatched home court advantage away from them, if they lose tonight, Memphis might get swept.
Spot on points there, Kevin. Another thing too, the fact that, I said it in our chat Sunday during that game. I said, it's about time for Klay Thompson to erupt. And boy, did he in the most critical points of that basketball game, hitting that clutch killer three, to put them up and the game winner of the game. And just Memphis, they came to play. The referees had some really shitty bad calls in that game that almost cost Golden State the game. And Morant played great, but he didn't play great enough when it mattered the most. He missed the layup thanks to great defense from Klay Thompson, and that's the biggest concern to me for Memphis is the fact that Golden State from top to bottom has a consistent basketball team. Gary Payton II is excellent defender.
Amazing, how luxurious it is to have when you want to go offense in your lineup. What do? Oh, you just put Jordan Poole on the floor with all these other shooters.
Jordan Poole had 31 points.
Yes. And then when you want to go defense, when you want to go defense, what do? Take Poole out. We're going to put Gary Payton in there and let him lock your best player down. That's crazy.
And Kevin, I'll say this right here, right now. I know Golden State's team in 2015, 2016 was a phenomenal basketball team going 73-9. We know that. We know this. Their bench was excellent, but I honestly, truly think that this Golden State bench now is 100% better than what they were 6-7 years ago because of the multiple, killer positions on that team. Gary Payton II takes his father's traits right there. A great defender, he can lock you down. He's a young kid, but he is so damn good. And speaking of damn good, Jordan Poole, my God. If Stephen Curry went out with an injury, I would say no problem, no blamo, no problem. The fact that Jordan Poole can come in that game, play 38 minutes on Sunday against Memphis and scores 31 points. The big moment did not face that young man. He's shooting threes from way downtown just like Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson do. He is ice water in his veins. Incredible range for a young guy. This Golden State team is dangerous. And if I'm Memphis, you've got to win tonight.
Yes, Stephen A. Smith said it best. He said, Jordan Poole was made in a lab. He literally was made to be a replica copy of Stephen Curry, just to a lesser degree shooting-wise. But this brother can still light it up. This brother can still handle the ball. This brother can still pass the ball. By the way, 9 assists and 7 rebounds, almost a triple-double as well for Jordan Poole.
Yep.
Then I don't think Gary Payton II, I don't even think his father can jump like Gary Payton because Gary Payton put poor Desmond Bain on the front of a damn poster with that hammer. Oh, my goodness, he dunked. This guy, just like Steph Curry said, that's the biggest 6'3" guy you'll ever see just because of how insanely high he can get off the ground. Just to watch him play and hustle. And you got Wiggins, who has been known to not really care about the game in Minnesota, but he's on the floor diving for loose balls. He's putting his heart into this
hitting
game.
Critical threes when they matter the most.
They're going to be the team to beat.
And I tell you what's crazy before we go to the rest of you guys on this game from Sunday, real quick. Brown for Boston. Jaylen Brown has as many points as the Boston lead right as we speak right now.
Yes.
25.
25.
He is 5 for 5 from the 3-point line. He is playing out of his mind right now for the Celtics. 9 of 10 from the field in the first half. My God. And Bucks having 40 points at the end of the first half, not going to do good enough for you guys. Boston has come to play in this game. And, my God, this second round is shaping up to be really, really good.
Oh yeah.
But about the Boston series, real quick, Steven, you really can't take much out of it because Milwaukee did do what they accomplished to do, and that was steal home court back away from Boston by that game 1 win. So game 2, if they lose, they should just go ahead and pack it up and say, fuck it, we still got home court. We got 3 and 4 in Milwaukee to play.
If I'm Boston, you got to take game 3. You got to take game 3.
Yes, got to.
Definitely. Let's talk about let's talk about the Philadelphia Miami series going on right now.
Oh God.
Let's talk about that. Miami won that game 106-92 last night. Some really quick little components, scores here since we haven't done this shit in a while. Harris, of course, Tobias Harris had 27 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. Some decent scoring for Philly. Okay, scoring for Philly, but Miami, man, they came in there to play. Adebayo had 26, 12, and 4. Huge double-double. Of course, Tyler Hero, of course, 1 rebound, 7 assists, 25 points. Jimmy Butler had 15, 9, and 3. They dominated. They dominated this game for sure. And game 2 is of course tomorrow night. Tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern. So I want to gauge your guys' thoughts on this Miami Philly series, and where do you see it leading?
James Harden is not going to show up, in my opinion, when it matters the most. When your best player, Joel Embiid, is out with an injury at least for the first couple of games. Last night should have been the night that Harden would have said, I'm going to put the team on my back and prove why I'm worthy on being on this team with the Embiid at my side. And when your best player goes down, next star player up, and Harden, no surprise, did not show up in game 1 against Miami. I mean, there was really no contest from the get-go. I mean, Miami completely outplayed Philadelphia in game 1. And I know Philadelphia is saying that Embiid could come back by game 3 or game 4, but seriously, with him being injured like that could hinder his performances, when he does come back. But if I'm Philadelphia, you have to win game 2. You cannot afford to go back down 2-0 against Miami, even on your home floor, because there's no guarantee you're going to get both games. You got to get the split tonight.
Absolutely. You mentioned Joel Embiid. They said that, of course, Joel Embiid, of course, is currently out right now with a concussion and a broken orbital bone. From what the head coach of the team said is that he's doing okay. He's getting better, but there's still no timetable for his return. Well, they said that a couple days ago, but they're saying possibly game 3 he could show up. That's depending on if he wants to wear that mask and look like Richard Rip Hamilton II,
Yeah.
So it depends. I mean, yes, they need Joel Embiid. Yes, they do, but I wouldn't rush him. I mean, I know it's critical, but the last thing you want to do is rush him back, him get hit again. Next thing you know, he has to go get surgery and then has to be out even. Yes, I mean, it don't matter at this point, but still, I feel like that rushing Joel Embiid back, I think, is an even bigger error than keeping him out.
Agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Risk of re-injury, especially with the broken orbital bone, is too high, and a concussion is no joke to deal with. I've had a concussion before. It is nothing to fuck with. And especially with the new policies in place in pretty much all major sports, he won't, if he doesn't pass the concussion protocol, he's not coming back. So,
no.
You know what? I'm not so sure. Even with he back healthy, Miami's just got too much, man. James Harden's he's proven that he's a bum now who can't score. This is the 11th straight playoff series that he's been held under 20 points, 25 points. And it's embarrassing because he's not good anymore. And Embiid, while yes, he's MVP like top 2, the problem is Bam Adebayo is a star in his own for Miami. So he's going to play defense on Embiid. The difference is Miami's got guards all over the place. Their 10th man on their bench was a superstar in Indiana by the name of Victor Oladipo, is their 10th man. Miami is deep. Kyle Lowry didn't even play. Jimmy Butler just went through the motions because Tyler Hero was balling. Jimmy Butler was just chilling game one. They got Jimmy Butler, a defensive stud. They got Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, like Duncan Robinson, who's a knockdown three-point specialist. It's on, and PJ Tucker, who's a defensive specialist. Miami's too much for Philly. I don't care. Honestly, get the brooms out, Joel Embiid or not. Miami in 4. I'll say that now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the worst possible thing that could have happened for the Sixers. If Harden goes down, they're good to go, but not with Embiid out. They're just going to be out of luck because they can't. I don't think anybody wants to rely on Harden. I don't think you ever can. You probably never will be able to. But Miami, I agree, has too many weapons, and they play good team ball. And I think a sweep is definitely in order. And I feel bad for Philadelphia because they've been waiting all these years for something, and they may have finally had it, even with Harden. And
I don't, because Harden doesn't show up.
Hold on, Steven. I just got I just got word that that Philadelphia, if James Harden does go down, if James Harden does have an injury issue and they can't get Joel Embiid back, it says that the Brooklyn Nets are willing to offer Ben Simmons for 1 game.
Oh my God!
And Philadelphia said, "Hell no."
To be honest, I think Philadelphia is offering, if any fan in the stands can run Harden the fuck out of Philadelphia, gets free Philly cheesesteaks for 2 years, because James Harden to be called the best ISO player of all time is a disgrace.
They're going to be handing out a lot of Philly cheesesteaks then.
ISO
players. But wait, Kevin. He is the best ISO player. You want to know why? Because he's the best at freezing in the biggest moments of a game.
Definitely.
He's the best at losing 50 pounds overnight. I'll tell you that much. But the thing about Harden.
That's without Nutrisystem.
Listen. Yeah. The thing about Harden is this guy in elimination games has more turnovers than my damn job does. Holy shit. He turns it over more than anything I ever seen. 10 turnovers.
Amen.
He broke the record for the most turnovers in a postseason.
He turns balls over more than a chef does at a pancake house.
Oh shit!
Dang.
Yeah.
But I want to bring something to you guys' attention that just makes you want to laugh real quick. I'm actually looking at it right now.
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm gonna leave that for after the show's over.
Yeah,
not appropriate to say here.
I don't know, I'm just saying some of the sports writers are looking at a huge NBA trade that could happen in the offseason. And let me tell y'all this. This is
Kelly,
hilarious.
are you reading something I'm reading? Go ahead.
They're saying that they're looking at the Lakers, the Knicks, the Jazz, and who else was it? The Nets. Yeah, the Lakers, Knicks, Nets, and Jazz could all be involved in this huge 4-team trade. And here's where saying that everybody's going to end up. They're saying that Donovan Mitchell would go to the Knicks.
Oh.
They're saying that the Jazz would get Russell Westbrook.
Oh, God.
Joe Harris, Taylor Horton Tucker, and RJ Barrett. They're saying the Nets would get Rudy Gobert, Derrick Rose, and Royce O'Neal. And here's the funniest part.
Oh,
They're saying that the Lakers will get Mike Conley, Kemba Walker, and this player, Ben Simmons.
Oh, no.
Dear God.
Oh, my
Ben
Lord.
Simmons is the savior of the Lakers.
That is a retiring franchise.
Oh my God!
What is this fucking franchise mode on the NBA 2K22?
Real
Yeah.
quick, Kevin, turn on
How
your
many
stats
teams are
to
gonna
100
play
so
that?
Ben Simmons can hit his jump shots. Please, shit.
Dude, even if his stats at 100, Ben Simmons won't still make his jump shot.
Oh my
What's the record
god.
for being on teams and not even playing a game? I mean, what is going on with that crap? I mean,
He was
Hey, the Lakers
eliminated.
are going to
He
be
was
running
eliminated.
laps mid-game because they're losing by 30.
He was eliminated from the playoffs before there was even a playoff game.
yeah.
Hey, golly, if Ben
Well, the
Simmons
Lakers
goes
would
to
be
the
if we make
Lakers,
that
I'm going to
trade, too.
freaking lose it, man.
Dude,
I'm going to
if
lose it.
LeBron,
Oh, could you imagine if LeBron and Ben Simmons are teammates? It would be the greatest shit show train wreck ever.
Every
LeBron
other
would leave
player-
4 minutes every game.
Yeah, every other.
You know what? I think Kobe's going to rescind his trade from the grave back to Charlotte if that was the case. Being a Laker would
And
be
I
an
think after
fucking
LeBron
disgrace.
leaves the court with 4 minutes left in the game, Ben Simmons will be the only damn Laker on the court shooting free throws and he'll still miss that shit.
Shoot free throws, hell no, he'll be in his damn Gucci outfit chilling on the bench.
I got it. Brick.
Every other play, LeBron will be doing that thing that he did with J.R. Smith.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't,
God.
At the end of the game,
I don't know.
every
I
single
don't know what's
time,
more heavy.
he's gonna be like, "What are you doing?"
I don't know
Every
what's more
single
heavy: Ben Simmons' jump shot or Russell Westbrook's fashion choices.
You know what? Hey, listen. I tell you what's going to happen. Did y'all see that protester at the Minnesota game who glued herself to the floor?
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, they're
Yes.
going to get out there and glue Ben Simmons to the free throw line and tell him he better start making some damn shots.
He's right now.
Make
He's
your
glued to
fucking
the,
free throws, man.
he's glued to the DL. That's all he's glued to.
I'm coming to Brooklyn, guys, to play, but I'm not going to show up.
They're like, no.
I'm coming to play with you guys. I'm coming to play with KD and Kyrie and save the season. Not.
Hey, you know what? You know
No,
what?
see,
It could be a scene of two protesting one because you can glue Ben Simmons to the free throw line, and you can take the world's longest chain him to the hoop, and it'll be like, until you start making shots, we ain't releasing you.
Hey, here's a Ben Simmons lately. He's been seeing on TV something that rings true to him. It's a commercial. Guy goes, "Hi, are you having performance issues in front of the ones you love?"
Do you suffer from succolitis? What do you do? Your name is Ben Simmons.
Succolitis.
holy shit.
Please don't suffer.
No, but Ezra, you bring up a good point about LeBron James leaving the court with 4 minutes left. I find it funny because the other day when the Celtics were getting blown out, Brad Stevens, the president and general manager of operations, he left the court and was on his way out with 4 minutes left. I said, way to go, LeBron James. He did a great LeBron James impersonation. The best one I've seen in years. Fuck it, I'm gone. And there goes Brad Stevens.
He said, I'm familiar with this bullshit. I'm leaving. Peace.
Way to go,
He'd be like-
LeBron!
He'd be like, "Peace out, bitches."
Oh,
Oh
God.
my God! Before we spend the next half hour going on and on about how Ben Simmons sucks, LeBron leaves the court, and
We could be here all night long doing this.
this could be a whole comedy show.
Absolutely.
But we got other games, other stuff to talk about. So let's get to it. We got the final game really of this NBA playoffs, and that's Dallas and Phoenix. Phoenix won that game 121-114. Of course with this game here, I believe, yeah, Devin Booker, of course, is back. Devin Booker had 23 points this game.
Chris Paul had a good game.
Oh yeah, Chris Paul DeAndre Ayton had a great game. 25 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Or no, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. My phone was glitching really bad. Chris Paul, had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block shot. So, but Bridges was great on the ball team. He didn't have a lot of points, but he had 2 block shots and 1 steal to go with 13 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists.
Good game for him.
Yeah, good game for Bridges despite not scoring a lot of points.
Yeah.
But
The one thing with Phoenix that has me concerned in this series against Dallas is it was kind of happening last night. Is they were up big and Dallas came back and they made it respectable. And if I'm Phoenix, you got to have that foot on the gas consistently. When you're up by 20 plus, and then Dallas just came back and made it a little interesting than what it should have been. And if Dallas would have had a few more shots go down, they could have maybe won the game.
Absolutely, I agree.
To be honest, I think Phoenix just got bored because outside of Luka, Jalen Brunson had a good run. He's going to be a star, but you're going against one of the Defensive Player of the Year award finalists in Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, who's an elite defender. Devin Booker's an elite defender in his own right. Dallas don't have much of a chance in this series. No. I wouldn't be surprised if Phoenix puts them out in 5, puts them out of their misery. But I do want to bring up, even as a Golden State fan, how about the dominance that we are seeing from not this 37-year-old LeBron James, but the 37-year-old Chris Paul. Chris Paul, the last game was 14 for 14 in a closeout game.
Perfect
in the last 2 years in closeout games, Chris Paul is averaging 33.2 points a game. Not bad for a guy who don't shoot the three, for a guy who just gets mid-range shots. But you know what? 14 of 14 is pretty damn good to go 100%. Chris Paul has been looking fantastic to be 37 years of age. And we're not talking about that LeBron bum over there in the Los Angeles side of town. We're talking about the other 37-year-old point guard, Chris Paul. And as a Warrior fan, I got nothing but respect for the dude. And if they do happen to put Golden State out in the Western Conference Finals, I'll be rooting for the Suns. I want to see Chris Paul get that elusive championship ring that he so very well deserves, because let's face it, he's a top 5 point guard all time. I don't care what nobody's opinion is. To me, he's better than Jason Kidd and Steve Nash. He's up there with John Stockton, and he rightfully so. Chris Paul has been amazing. I don't like his attitude sometimes. I think he's cocky and a little too big-headed, but the game itself speaks for itself. It was funny that in this game, though, he missed. He made his first 3 shots, and Reggie Miller was finding it funny, talking about, wow, he's 17 for 17. Then he heaved up a 3 and missed it. Reggie Miller said, "Would you look at that, Kevin? He's human. He's actually human." What a phenomenal job that Phoenix is doing, and Chris Paul has got them guys ready to play. It's just, like I said at the All-Star break, it's destiny waiting to be happened. It's the most anticipated box office matchup, Golden State Phoenix. That's what I presume is going to happen. I assumed it. I predicted it. It's on a collision course for itself. Golden State and Phoenix, and what a hell of a Western Conference Finals we should be here for. Get your popcorn ready.
My honest take with this Phoenix team is, man, they are very fortunate that Devin Booker is back sooner than later, because also real quick too, Phoenix was fined for not disclosing Booker's injury as far as updates and stuff, and they suffered a pretty hefty fine from the NBA. Don't know the exact numbers on the top of my head, but Phoenix is very
25.
25. Thank you. Phoenix is very fortunate to have Booker back in the starting lineup, because he is an excellent 2 guard. He can shoot the 3. He can defend like hell. He's got a very nice mid-range jump shot. He can drive to the basket. He can do it all. And Chris Paul, man, is playing like a machine. 37 years of age. He is playing like a man that wants a championship bad right now. Because I'm telling you, if Chris Paul would have shown up in a couple of those games last year in the NBA Finals, Phoenix would have won that championship.
Yes. And Devin Booker, don't forget, he could get hot at any second. We watched this guy score 70 points 3 years ago in only 3 quarters. He had a chance to break Kobe's, but he benched him the whole 4th. He had 70 points through 3 quarters. That's crazy. Devin Booker can get hot.
And Phoenix scares me. When they get hot, they get scorching hot. Chris Paul's 3-point shot, he may not shoot it a lot, but when he shoots it and he's connecting with it, it is a deadly jump shot, because he reminds me of a great MMA fighter who knows how to punch, but can also hide it really well with those really good kicks and stuff. And and Chris Paul with that mid-range jump shot being as deadly as it is, and his drives to the basket too. But when he gets that 3-point shot going and it's connecting, oh man, there's nobody stopping the guy. I mean, he's deadly.
And that's exactly why the anticipated Western Conference Finals matchup is going to be a super heavyweight battle. You got the likes of Klay Thompson and Steph Curry versus Chris Paul and Devin Booker, which is box office. Jordan Poole, Mikal Bridges guarding them. You got
Cameron Payne for Phoenix.
With Draymond. What a battle that's going to be.
Just two great teams. And getting back to Dallas real quick, Dallas is really undersized right now. I mean, Luka Doncic is about all they really got. I mean, Brunson's had a great run with Dallas, but Luka is the guy that makes that team go. And I mean, they got some decent role players around Dallas, but they, but with Hardaway Jr. being out, right, with injuries, right? I mean, that's a huge loss for Dallas. And, and I mean, Luka's had a great run with Dallas this year, MVP caliber year, but I think Dallas is really, really, really outnumbered by Phoenix's starting five and their bench players in this series. So I'll be generous and I'll give Dallas at least a game, maybe tomorrow night, maybe, but I think Phoenix takes this at least in 5.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Steven. The game between Milwaukee and Boston is just fired back up again. 72-52, Boston over Milwaukee right now. With a little under 4 minutes left in the third quarter. So,
yeah, payback for Boston. They're back in the series, basically. If they don't blow this, they're back in the series, basically. I mean, it's anybody's ball game then.
Absolutely. So I think this is going to be a highly competitive series, and personally, I can't wait to watch all these games. But yeah, the playoffs continue, guys, and it's going to be should be a wild one to the finish. So, of course, we'll talk about more in the playoffs next week as we continue to get deeper and deeper into getting close to the NBA Finals, which will be coming up very, very soon as well.
Isn't that crazy? Like these playoffs have been rolling just crazy, just rapid fast, and now we're getting so close to the conference finals, and then eventually to the NBA Finals, and hopefully the conference finals and the NBA Finals itself will be just as good this year like it was last year.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and real quick, I want to get into, I know a lot of us don't watch hockey, but I just want to say right now that the NHL playoffs are going on right now as well. Mm-hmm. Currently right now, I believe yesterday, I think it was yesterday was the first set of games that were on. The Hurricanes beat the Bruins 5-1. They lead the series 1-0 in the East first round. The Toronto Maple Leafs shut out the Lightning 5-0.
Oof.
Of course, they lead the series 1-0. Blues beat the Wild 4-0. Good, let's go Blues, because I definitely don't want the fucking Minnesota Wild to win.
And play Gloria all the damn time. Yes, please.
They lead series 1-0, and then the Kings beat the Edmonton Oilers 4-3 in a good game. They lead the series 1-0. Currently going on right now in the second period. Penguins and Rangers are tied at 2 games apiece. Florida Panthers have beaten the Washington Capitals 2-1 in the second. And then game that should be first puck drop should be happening right now. Actually, between the Nashville Predators and the Colorado Avalanche, and Dallas Stars and the Calgary Flames will be on at 10 p.m. Eastern. So definitely keep an eye out on those games coming up here relative shortly. But yeah, I'm always a big fan of the NHL playoffs. Been a fan for years.
You could not beat playoff hockey. It's it's the best.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
Nothing like it. It's the balls. You're right.
Dude, like I said, I've been a fan all my life. My dad, God rest his soul, was a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan, was a huge hockey fan. He loved the NHL playoffs around this time of year. It's always a great time to watch some good, competitive, hard-hitting hockey. I know hockey's not everybody's forte, but man, when it gets to the playoffs, look out, because that's when some of the hardest fought, hardest hitting matchups come up.
And anybody's game right there. I mean, if the puck goes your way, you got a chance to win the game, go for it. Because, man, I mean, opportunities in hockey come very far in between.
Absolutely. And the Stanley Cup is one of the most prestigious titles to win in the major four sports, along with the Lombardi Trophy, the Lombardi Trophy, the NBA Finals Trophy, and of course the World Series Championship. Those four titles. All together, the most prestigious titles in all of the competitive four sports. And when it comes to when you talk about playoff hockey, you look at the best franchises. You look at the Boston Bruins. You look at the Chicago Blackhawks. You look at some of the you look at the old Maple Leafs games. You look at the old Montreal Canadiens. You talk about some of the great franchises, great teams, especially if those are the original six. Man. Some of the best matchups in all hockey. Of course, the memory that always sticks with me when it comes to playoff hockey is the Stanley Cup Finals from 2010, Philadelphia Flyers, Chicago Blackhawks, when Patrick Kane hit that shot that stuck in the wedge between the net and the bottom goalpost, which ended up winning the game for the Blackhawks and sealing their first of 3 World Series or Stanley Cup championships in 5 years. So
that's right. There's nothing like playoff hockey in the NHL. They got the sudden death, the 5 or 6 overtimes. I mean, it's great. And of course, the best part about the Stanley Cup is you can drink out of it. I mean, that's the best part.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always love watching playoff hockey. I actually have it on right now.
To me, one of my favorite things is you get after a certain team wins in your city, they do the parades and all that, but they also do it's cool when you get to meet them when they're, just being a fan anyways, you get to meet them at the meet and greets and stuff like that when they do meet and greet sessions. I was lucky enough to meet when the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. I was lucky enough to meet Javier Baez. At my local Macy's on State Street in Chicago, Illinois. And he was doing a free signing. Tickets were first come, first serve. It was awesome. I got to meet him. I was able to get my daddy Chicago World Series hat signed by Javi Baez.
Nice.
And it was awesome. We got to talk to him for a few seconds. It was a cool thing. But yeah, definitely playoff hockey is where it's at when it comes to when it comes to the physicality, nothing beats it. I mean, for exciting factor, I go with, of course, NBA, because the NBA is so unpredictable. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I mean, outside of the Western Conference kind of being a wash away, we know where it's going to lead to with the finals. Eastern Conference is still a little bit wide open. So I'm excited for that. But great discussion on these playoffs, guys. And of course, like I said, these playoffs are going to continue. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll update you guys whenever throughout the week until next week's show. But real quick, some quick MMA news. I want to get to nothing major. Just want to get into just a brief little thing. There was a UFC pay-per-view this past week. Not pay-per-view, but a UFC live event this past week. I had it up and I guess it got deleted. Thank you, phone, for doing that. Gotta love technology. But yeah, there was a UFC on Fox event this weekend. I believe it was right here. Yeah, UFC on ESPN 35, Font versus Vera, which was I was able to watch it this past week, and it was a really, really good battle between Marlon Rivera and or Marlon Front and Rob Front and Marlon Rivera. Sorry. It was a really, really good fight. Unanimous decision, went to all 5 rounds. Of course, Andrei Arlovsky won a split decision over Jay Collier, which was seeing the Pitbull get another victory, which is great for me. I'm a massive fan of Andrei Arlovsky, always been since his early days. Of course, because of not only his look, his fighting style, but also his theme song too. that he comes out to. Onward to Victory by Ice Pick, for all you metalheads out there who know that kind of one-time band, kind of similar to Beyond Fear by Tim Ripper Owens. But also, of course, I was watching this fight card because my local boy, Portage, Indiana's own Darren Elkins, won a unanimous decision war over Tristan Connolly. Of course, Darren got bloodied up and beat up during the fight, but that's what the damage is known for, is taking damage and giving it right back. So congratulations to Darren Elkins and making Portage proud once again with a huge victory, which gets him further up the featherweight division on that front. So what's up, Randy?
I'm watching NXT. I thought the one guy about killed himself on there. It looked like a botch. Oh my God. Whew, it wasn't though, thankfully. It looked bad though. Oh my God. Whoa.
Yeah.
Good Lord, I'm sorry, folks. Sorry about that, but man.
No. You're good, brother. You're good. Before we get ready to close out the show here, quick score update. Right now it is 75-56 Boston over Milwaukee still. So with 4 minutes left to go in the third. Or actually 3:44 left to go in the third going on right now. So let's go ahead and I think that's pretty much wraps it up. Anything else you guys want to talk about real quick before we roll this show out?
I'm good.
I think I'm good on my
I
end.
think we're good.
All right, let's get to what we usually do, and that is our final thoughts. Of course, this is better than Jerry Springer's final thoughts. Eat your heart out, Jerry. Let's go to Randy. Of course, your final thoughts, brother.
Yeah, a great show tonight. I think the NBA playoffs in the Western Conference final, they're going to be fire no matter what teams they are. And same with the East. And good draft analysis. I think we all kind of watched it and went into it a little differently this year. And I think we had a great show tonight. And I'm like as always, thanks for having me. And y'all have a great week.
All right, let's go with Kevin. Your final thoughts.
It's been a good playoffs, good week of sports, good talking sports with you gentlemen, and looking forward to some more great NBA playoffs and more off-season NFL news, baseball news, anything else in the sports world.
Yep, absolutely. Joe?
Once again, awesome talking sports with you guys week after week. Again, I had a great time at Raw last night. I can't wait to go back. And I guess all I got to say is enjoy the rest of the NBA playoffs because that's what we got going on right now because NFL draft is over, baseball's in full swing, hockey playoffs is in full swing. So enjoy the playoffs and enjoy the baseball.
Yep.
I agree. Steven, you know the drill. Close it out, brother.
As always, great show with you fine gentlemen, and looking forward to next week talking about some more NBA playoffs and whatever comes out of this crazy, world of sports, whether it be baseball coming up, as far as what comes on the news with that, or NHL's playoffs and all that good stuff. And just looking forward to all the great stuff that we're talking about next week. And also, too, this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, the Nation's Corner will be live talking about the world of professional wrestling. And I will be a part of the show for a third consecutive week in a row with Deb and Elder Mike, Mongrovian Mike. Ay, karate. And you can follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner and everywhere else on Twitter. Excuse me, not Twitter because they don't allow the word "the" in your title for your Twitter handle. But anyways, on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, everywhere else, it is at the Nation's Corner. And Ezra, you know the drill, my friend. Close us out, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for joining us out there live right now. Thank you to, of course, our crew here. I couldn't do this show, and we couldn't do the show without us as a group. Thank you guys for all your input and all your talk and everything. I appreciate it. We got a lot to get into for next week. I'm certain, man. It's gonna be wild. NBA playoffs. We're gonna do this shit. We're gonna rock it out. I know, Joey, are you frozen?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I thought you were frozen. Even if you were, it's a better look for you. Anyways,
he's better than James Harden is in the playoffs. Oops.
Nice.
Wait, Joey, there's your cue. Wait, leave now. 4 minutes left of the show.
He'd be leaving 10 minutes. He'd be even a worse example.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So let's right now. Thank you guys again. We enjoy you guys watching this show. We got a lot to get into.
Hang on, real quick. I'm not going to turn on my camera for this, but Steven, here's a big Kyrie Irving treatment for you.
Thanks, asshole.
Perfect. But thank you guys once again. We appreciate the support. Keep following us on all of our socials. Don't forget to check out Nation's Corner this weekend. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about everything in pro wrestling from this week. Rampage, AEW, Raw. Of course, we got a Mission Pro show coming up next weekend. Don't Stop Me Now. Check that out on TitleMatchNetwork.com. Follow Mission Pro at Mission Pro Wrestling. Of course, follow Thunder Rosa as well at Thunder Rosa 22. If you haven't already, which I'm sure you have, just making sure. We're going to talk about everything this week, from Bullet Club, getting stronger in New Japan, to everything that happened on Raw, Rampage, SmackDown, all that shit. So let's close it out. For Stephen Wyand, for Randy Giron, for Kevin Rorie, and for Joseph Thornton, I am Mr. Vickery, and we will see you right here next week for another great edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Turn me up.